Hello, and welcome to the next in our series, Meet the Writers from the In-Depth Genealogist. My name is Shannon Combs-Bennett. I'm the creative director for the website and the magazine. And today with me is Dr. Bill Smith, otherwise known as Dr. Bill, the heritage tourist, who writes as a column and blog for our website and magazine. Hello, Bill. How are you today?
Hi, thanks for inviting me.
We're glad to have you here today. So, could you tell us a little bit about you and other things that you do?
I'm the heritage tourist. Um, got that title as the last 5 years I was involved in my university professor job over in Kansas. I got intimately involved in the effort to create a national heritage area, working with the Postal Service and consultants and a bunch of local people, trying to get the Flint Hills of Kansas recognized as a national heritage area. Some of our neighboring counties had just received their recognition as the Freedom's Frontier, crossing the boundary between Kansas and Missouri, where the Civil War really started. I guess their story was a little more exciting than ours, but we thought the Flint Hills were well worth making it a heritage area. So that got me into the heritage concept and heritage tourism, which is a worldwide phenomenon where tourists look at history, culture, and nature as they visit places. And so it's sort of a natural transition. All of us that do genealogy and family history research like to visit where our ancestors were. And while we're there, we like to encourage people to look at all aspects of the context of their ancestors' lives.
Yeah, I have to say that's one of the things as a genealogist and a lover of history, I enjoy visiting all the different places and heritage sites that I know my ancestors were at or had some sort of involvement in. So for your column that you write and the blog posts that are related to it, you basically go from one heritage site to another talking about it and how it involves genealogy.
For the monthly magazine article, I've been going through each of the 49 national heritage areas that Congress has recognized across the country. They tend to be mostly, they started in the east and they sort of moved west, but there are a lot of states that still don't have heritage areas. So in the monthly blog, I've been looking at each of the states and what uh, heritage aspects they have that you might visit while you're there, even though there's not an actual national heritage area organized at the grassroots level there. So it's been kind of a nice complement between the two. And I've got a couple of years to go on the heritage areas and a year or so to go on the state. So I've got my work cut out for me.
Yeah, you sure do. Now, I didn't realize that there were only 49. That seems, for such a large country, that seems like such a small number. Is there ways that people could get involved with this movement?
Absolutely. The National Park Service is the consulting agency that makes the recommendations to Congress. The first National Heritage Areas were only recognized in 1996, so it's really a very new
Oh,
program.
wow. Yeah.
I look at it, I look at it as almost a replacement for national parks. I don't think the federal government's going to do any more national parks of any major size, but the national heritage areas are based on existing local assets that then these people get together and say we'll tell a nationally significant story within this national heritage area. So it takes several years, even in the best case scenario, for the local people to get together and figure out what that story really is and how all the different historical and cultural sites in the area come together to tell the story.
Wow. I don't know if you would know this off the top of your head or not, but there is something here in Virginia called the Hallowed Grounds, which is it actually goes Virginia, West Virginia, a little bit of Maryland, and into Pennsylvania. And it's a series of Civil War battlefields and other historical places that all relate to one another and the Gettysburg campaign and other things. Is that one of the heritage?
That is
It
one of the
is.
newer national heritage areas. It came on board, I think, in 2006. I
Now,
wrote about it about 2 years ago.
I thought you did, but it just the reason it stuck in my head right now, and I obviously didn't look it up before I started talking to you today, is my oldest child when he was in 7th grade, they actually have a video series where they go to schools and 7th graders create videos about different aspects of the Hallowed Grounds project. So,
It's a it's a wonderful one. I think it's one of the first ones I wrote about because I was so impressed when I saw the website and saw the
mhm.
educational programs they were doing. And of course, I love Revolutionary War era history anyway.
Oh yeah, he absolutely loved it, and I thought it was a fantastic way to get involved. And seeing as it's literally goes through my backyard, I read up all about it, and and we're actually looking at trying to send him to one of the camps because they actually have summer camps for kids that go through the entire hallowed grounds from Monticello all the way up to Gettysburg.
The educational programs that are being developed through the National Heritage Areas actually are probably the most successful part of the movement. Uh, I've noticed in the last few months, the ones I've looked at, the new websites are coming on with lots of videos and a lot more pictures and very interactive. Some of the new websites that each of them have are much better than what they had even 5 or 10 years ago. I guess that's true about everything, but I've noticed it here.
Yeah, it's true. Things are definitely developing faster than a lot of people can keep up with them, including myself. Now, I know that you write other books, historical fiction, and other. You have a blog and some other things. Would you like to tell us a little about your other endeavors that you do?
Thank you.
Mhm.
I've found that writing fiction about based on my family history and genealogy has really become fun. I've written this, what I refer to as a family saga. It started out with one book called Back to the Home Place that was a story of a family in the southern Missouri Ozarks, sort of a few miles from where I live, but that's kind of accidental and another story. But then I got into the background of it, and I've gone back and researched, if you will, or created out of my imagination and my research and historical background research, clear back to 1833 when this land was first settled, right after statehood. And I've now built this program into, I've got 4 novels, the fifth one is underway, a collection of short stories, about 120 short stories online, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own, this whole family of several generations. And I've used all of the ideas and concepts from my family history research that I've been working on for 20 years, uh, built into this particular family. And
Wow.
it's a lot of fun. Not enough people know about it, but particularly Back to the Home Place is the first book was real fun. And then last year I did Christmas at the Home Place that I'd like to have more people read, but I enjoy doing it whether they read them or not.
Enjoying what you do is the most important part.
When you're retired and 75 years old.
My father would definitely agree with you.
Thank
Well,
you for asking.
you're welcome. Well, we're just about ready to wrap up. Is there one website or book or resource that you think people who are interested in heritage tourism that they should definitely check out and know a little bit more about?
Boy, it's hard to say one, but probably the two key areas are the National Park Service Heritage Area section website, and secondly, there's an alliance of national heritage areas that has a regular monthly newsletter email that's very good. Those aren't books, but they're real good sources. and there's so much information you couldn't compile it all. That's why I started writing the monthly article, because
Hmm.
even each of the individual websites is very comprehensive.
Wow. That sounds amazing. And I'm sure anyone who is interested in further research into this area will find them useful as well.
Wherever you're going to be traveling, look up the National Heritage Area as a first resource, because
Mhm.
within each one, they have lots of resources that are, locally, that are listed on the website, and then the educational programs available and programs they put on are just fantastic.
I will definitely keep that in mind for the future.
You
I like
will.
I like looking up those types of things, but I will add it to my list. Well, thank you for joining us today, Dr. Bill. It was great to get to talk to you a little bit.
My pleasure.
And for those of you who are interested in hearing more from the Heritage Tourist, make sure to go to our website, www.theinDepthGenealogist.com. His blogs are available to the public for free, but if you would like to read the columns, please think about joining a subscription to our magazine, Going In Depth. Until next time, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.